Hello students, this is your prime English book of class 2. Today we are going to learn our second chapter from this book. And the topic of the chapter is useless things. Okay? Actually it's a poem, right? Do you know what is poem? A poem is a collection of words that express an emotion or idea, sometimes with a specific rhythm. Okay? And actually this is a poem related with, or poet expresses his imagination or fantasy that what will happen if useless things lost their basic things. Okay? It's just an imagination. If it happens, then what will happen? Then all the useful things will become useless things, right? So this is actually a story is about useless things. Okay, now let us recite the poem. But before we recite the poem, look at here. Think of what you would do in the following situation. Write your response in the blank space. Here are some questions, okay? Here are some questions that you have to solve it by yourself, okay? I'll read the questions, right? If your school has no teacher for a day, then what will happen? Okay? So if there is a school and if there is a classes but there are no teachers, then what will happen? You just have to imagine it and write it down, okay? Second one is, if the football that you are playing with does not bounce, then what will happen? That means when you are playing a football and if that football is not bounce, okay, then what will happen? So you just have to imagine it and write it down, right? So the third question is, if the milk that you drink suddenly becomes solid, okay, because milk is always in a liquid form, right? And if it became a solid suddenly when you are drinking it, then what will happen? You just have to imagine it, right? Number 4 is, if the bed that you are sleeping in does not have a mattress, then what will happen? Right? And when you are sleeping on a bed and the bed doesn't have a mattress, then what will happen? That you have to imagine and write it down out here, right? And the fifth one is, if the pool that you are swimming in suddenly became dry, then what will happen? When you are swimming on a pool and the water is suddenly dried up, then what will happen? You just have to imagine it and write it down in a number 5. Okay, so these are the some imaginary things that you have to solve it by yourself. You just have to imagine it and write it down, that what will happen if the useless things disappear suddenly, then what will happen, right? So these are the exercises that you have to do it by yourself. Okay, now let us recite the poem. First I'll recite it, and as well as you all have to recite it. Okay, so look at here. Candy that isn't sweet, a bus without a seat, a beach without its sand, an aeroplane that cannot land, a fish without its scales, monkeys without their tails, a teacher without a class, a window without glass, a pencil without lead, sheets without a bed, a pen that doesn't mark, a lamp that leaves room dark, hives without bees, forest with no trees, a book without words, a nest without bird, sights that cannot be seen, a king without a queen, a garden without seeds, jewelry without bids, an actor without a prop, a street without nowhere to stop, a mystery without a clue, me without you. So this is the way how you have to recite the poem. Okay, you all recite it by yourself also, for 2 or 3 times, right? So now I will explain it in a detail, right? So look at here. It's just an imagination, as I told you earlier, okay, that it's just an imagination of the poem. Okay, look at here. Candy that doesn't that isn't sweet, That means if the candy is without a sugar, without a sweetness, then what will happen? It will become useless, because we know that candy is always sweet, right? But if there is no sweetness, then what will happen? The candy will be useless for us, right? So look at here, a second line. A bus without a seat. A bus without a seat. That means bus is without a seat. That means seat is actually used by the passengers to sit on it, right? But if there is a no seat, then the passenger will not prefer that bus, right? So the bus will be useless. Understood? So come to the next. A beach without sand. That means if the beach is without sand, what will happen? People will not go there, right? Because people will not get the place to sit and see the view of beach. So the beach without a sand will be useless. Okay? Similarly, come to the next. An aeroplane can't land. Okay, if an aeroplane can't land, then what will happen? People will not prefer that aeroplane. People will not travel on that aeroplane. Passenger will not give an interest to travel on that aeroplane, right? Because aeroplane will be useless if it cannot land. Okay, so all these things will be useless if the important or the basic things will disappear suddenly, right? So come to the next paragraph. A fish without a scale. That means a fish. Scale means a small thin plates on a skin. Okay, it's already given in your book. Look at here. That means if a fish is without scale, then what will happen? Fish cannot survive for a long time, right? That means fish will become useless. Similarly, come to the next. Monkeys without tail. Okay, have you seen the monkeys? Monkeys always have a tail, right? So if the tails suddenly disappear, then what will happen? Monkey cannot swing, or the monkey cannot jump from the one place to another. That means the monkey will become useless, right? So it's basic needs, like basic things. If it suddenly disappear, then the monkey will become useless. That means monkey cannot jump from one place to another, right? So come to the next. A teacher without a class. That means if a class is there, if you are in a school and if the class is there, and if you are present in this class and if there is a no teacher, then what will happen? You cannot learn anything, right? So the class will be useless. So come to the next. A window without glass. Look at that. If there is a window but there is no glass, then what will happen? Window will not protect you from the sunlight, rainfall, winds, etc., right? So the window will be useless if there is no glass, right? Now come to the next paragraph. A pencil without lead. Okay, lead will, what is lead? Lead will help us to write, right? So but if the pencil without lead, then what will happen? Pencil will be useless, because we have to write, or we will write with that pencil. But if there is no lead, then what will happen? We cannot write, right? So the pencil will become useless. Now next is sheet without bed. That means if your mother brought a sheet, that means bed sheet, okay, and she wants to put it on a bed, but if there is no bed, then what will happen? There is no use of that bed sheet, right? So sheet, that means bed sheet, will become useless if there is no bed, right? So come to the next. A pen without doesn't mark. Okay, if you have a pen and it doesn't mark, then what will happen? The pen will be useless. Okay, so come to the next. A lamp that leaves room dark. That means if you have a wonderful lamp, okay, but the light of that lamp will not enough for the room to make it bright, then what will happen? The beautiness of that lamp doesn't enough, okay, that means the lamp will become useless, right? So come to the next paragraph. Hive without bees. That means if there is a hive, okay, but there are no bees, then what is the use? no use. That means the hives will be useless, right? Hives is a place of where bees live, right? That means if there is a no bees, that means the hives will be useless. Come to the next line. Forest without no trees. If there is a forest but there are no trees, then what will happen? Then it will be a there will be a no forest. So the forest will be useless if there is no trees, right? Now come to the next line. A book without words. That means if there is a book but then no words are written, then what will happen? You cannot read anything, right? So the books will become useless for you. Okay, now come to the next line. A nest without bird. That means if there is a nest but there is no birds was not there, then what will happen? Nest will become useless, right? Because nest is a place where birds live, right? So if birds are not there, then the use of that nest is not important. That means the nest will become useless, right? So come to the next paragraph. Sights without that cannot seen. That means sight means to see or that can be seen. Okay, if and seen means view, right? So there will be a no use of sight if there is no view, or if there is no anything that we can see. So it is a useless thing. Okay, next line. King without queen. If there is a king without a queen, then how can then king will be useless, because if there is no king, then how can they get the moral support from the queen? Okay, so the king will be useless without a queen. Now come to the next. A garden without a seed. If there is a garden but there are no seeds, then what will happen? The garden will be useless. Okay, because garden needs seeds to make or to plant beautiful flowers, trees, etc. So if there is a no seeds, then the garden will be useless, right? Now come to the next. Jewelry without beads. That means jewelry. Jewelry means ornaments that we wear, such as rings, necklace, etc. Okay, but if there is no beads, beads means a small piece of glass or stone or materials that is threaded with other to make necklace, rosaries, etc. Okay, but if there is no beads, then what is the use of jewelry? How can we make the jewelry? We cannot make the jewelry without the beads. That means the jewelry will be useless, right? So all these are the imaginary things. That means if the basic things will disappear, then what will happen? It's just the imagination, right? So come to the last paragraph. An actor without a prop. Okay, if there is an actor but he is without his prop, then how can we identify, or how can we get the moral that what the actor was trying to say? So the actor will be useless without his prop. That means we cannot identify that which actor was he or she. Okay, that means actor without a prop will be useless. Now come to the next line. A street without nowhere to stop. Okay, if there is a street but there are no symbols or banners where you have to stop, okay, then what is the use of going on that street? That means the street will become useless, right? Now come to the next paragraph. A mystery next line. A mystery without a clue. That means mystery means something which is difficult to understand. Okay, and if there is a mystery but without a clue means hint. Okay, and you don't have any hint, then you cannot solve that mystery. So mystery will be useless if there is a no clue or the hint, right? Now come to the last line. Me without you. Okay, if right now I'm teaching you something but you are not there, or you are not listening, then what will happen? No use of this chapter. That means whatever I'm saying, that will be useless if you are not listening or if you are not hearing it properly, right? So all these things are imaginary that the fantasy that the poet just want to say, that if what will happen if the basic things will disappear from the useful thing. Okay, that means all the things will be useless if the useful things will disappear suddenly. Okay, I hope you all understood the poem. Now come to the exercise portion of this chapter. Okay, look at here. Match the word in the column A with the word with column B. One is done for you. Okay, in a column A there are some words, and in a column B also there are some words, but you just have to match it out. Okay, that means you have to make the pair of that words. First is mystery. Mystery is connected with clue, and second one is teacher. Teacher is connected with class. So here I already solved how you have to do it. You just have to copy it in your book. Okay, but please use pencils while you are doing it on your book. Okay, second one, complete the sentences with the correct option from the box. Okay, here are some options which is given in a box. Okay, you just have to take it out from the box and fill the blank which was given in the below. Right, first one, a monkey uses its tail to swing from the branches. Swing from the branches is in the box that I've searched from the box, and I have written in a blank space. So similar way you all have to do it, but please use pencils as I told you already. Okay, so I think you all understood the second chapter of this book. Actually, I just want to remind you that each and everything there is a useful basic thing which is mandatory, which is needed for to be useful. So thank you.